Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Unscripted Coding. We are working with Flutter again, and if you've been with this channel before, we've played around with Flutter, but I have to be honest, as big and as huge a fan as I am of Flutter, I don't use it all that often. I've only built a couple of applications. They're all kind of demo-y, very unpolished kind of tech demos more than anything. I haven't had a chance to really dive deep into Flutter, and this is where our project is today. What I'm going to do is try and recreate somebody else's app with Flutter. So what is Flutter? Flutter is a UI toolkit. What that means is that Flutter has a number of widgets that you can use with ease, I guess. They've pre-built very common user interface components. If you are an Android user, these will look immediately familiar. The app bar, the bottom navigation bar, the drawer. You may not know all the names, but you certainly recognize these widgets, the buttons, the floating button at the bottom, the menu pop-ups. All of these things are just part of so many apps. And so Flutter lets you just put them straight into your application without a whole lot of coding, without a whole lot of fuss. And if you aren't a fan of Android, iOS style widgets are here too. So if you want the activity indicator, the action sheet, the pop-up, all of these kind of pieces that are very common in iOS apps are available to you as well. And so Flutter really focuses itself on the user interface. Its roots were in mobile, but it's moving towards web and desktop as well. So what does that mean? Well, what that means is that I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of back end today. I just want to recreate somebody else's application. And so I'm going to take one of these and mock it up and create something that looks similar. I'll have, say, the text, the images, the buttons, to the closest degree I can, but I'm going to ignore all of the backend. So for example, Realtor.com, they obviously have a database. I don't know if this is like a like button, but you'll need some sort of interaction with a web server there. These numbers, there may be calculations, there may be all sorts of things happening, and that is not the project today. I just want to create a mock-up so that it looks similar. I scrolled through these myself and picked one based on what I want to do. Some of these are fairly custom, like Stadia. You need big images to be able to pull off this kind of user interface. Some of these are quite custom, like this looks really cool, but this is very customized. So I wanted something more generic, and some of these just don't look very good. Alibaba, it's so busy in the interface. Anyways, I scrolled down and decided in the end to look at MGM Resorts. Look at that. If you tilt your head a little, it's using very basic components. You have, I think, a button over here. You have some text headers. You have a couple cards, and you have a different set of cards. These ones with icons and text. These ones with images. You have another button here. You have a header type of image. There's a word for these kind of images, but it's escaping me right now. But you can see, I don't need a whole lot to recreate this, and yet it still looks really good. You have the bottom navigation bar. And so I clicked into this, and they have a couple screens for me to look at. You have that bottom drawer here, the text, and then you have a very, very basic but good looking interface. I don't think any of us are coming and saying this is ugly. I think this is really good. today modern design is very much about flat simplicity. Like it should look nothing like this Alibaba one. Simple icons, simple text to convey what you want to do. And so this is a nice screen. Okay, so that's the goal. What I'm going to do is try and recreate the look of this app. None of the backend, none of the interactions. I just want to make it look like one or maybe two of these pages, depending on how much time it takes. For the sake of speeding things up, I already started this up. If you go, Flutter has great documentation. So if you just go and follow their Get Started install tutorial, you will be looking at this after you installed everything. And once you're in VS Code, you just start a new application. I did this to start with because I do sometimes have trouble with the emulators. And I just wanted to make sure that I had a working emulator beforehand. This usually isn't a problem for most newcomers. I just have a ton of junk on my computer that is all fighting for, is all fighting for control, I guess. So I'm going to stop talking and we're going to start trying to build this out. Hey everyone, check-in time. I just wanted to show you guys the how the demo is going so far. So let's move these two screens. On the right, you have, of course, a screenshot of the MGM app. And on the left, no, it doesn't look like it. I get that. But you can start seeing all the pieces come together. We have the right text. We have recreated one of the 4 buttons. We have the drop-down button. So all the elements are on the screen. We got to rearrange it. And we got to work on sizing, padding, margins, just getting those last kind of touches together. But you can see the frame is starting to shape up, and I think we're getting to a point where I can confidently say we're gonna have something that has the same look and feel as this MGM app. Which brings me to the next point. We're not gonna be able to recreate this pixel for pixel because, I can't steal Bellagio's logo. I can't steal their icons. We're just going for the look and feel. So we're going to try and get as close as we can, but there are inevitably going to be some differences in how it looks. Finally, I just wanted to take a moment to talk about Flutter and my experience so far. I was just doing web development before this, so I think about it in terms of classes. In frameworks and web frameworks like Bootstrap or Foundation, everything's crammed into these classes. You have a class for margins, paddings, background colors, button colors, all of those things. And you just add the classes one by one into one element, and it suddenly has all of these features. Flutter is not like that. You have your text, and yeah, there's a bit of customization. You get to align it, you can bold it, whatever. But then all of the other things, you got to wrap it around other elements. So you need to wrap the text around an expanded element. You got to wrap that around a safe area, and that will provide the padding, that will provide the sizing. We have all sorts of things like rows, containers, that all adds little bits to it. And I think it was very easy to pick up. It was very intuitive to understand. But where the problem comes in is it's just very verbose. So even for a simple app with a handful of buttons, you start scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So trade-offs, I don't think it's bad, but I just wanted to point that out. Okay, well, I'm going to jump back into work and try and finish this screen. I did not even notice. There is a bottom navigation bar, so I can add that fairly quickly as well. Okay. See you guys in a moment. Okay, so I am pretty happy with where we're at now. We have created something that looks quite close. Now, the colors are a little off. I could probably, put this into Photoshop, get an eyedropper, get the exact colors, but that's not really the point. The point is we got something that looks very, very close. See, I just want to keep making these additions. It feels like the top has larger kind of margins here. But I can spend all day adjusting and it will not be a perfect match, so I should stop. Anyways, we've made these rounded bordered containers that have the buttons. In theory, we can have a drop down where we can click these various things and do things, but obviously we haven't built an actual app. I have a snazzy green logo up top here. I feel like there should be a margin up top. Okay, I will do one more margin here. Okay. No, you know what? No, let's not do that. See, it's gonna drive me nuts. There's all these little measurements that you can actually change to make it look absolutely perfect. But that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is we've created something, an analog of this in Flutter in very few lines of code, really. Let's just cut these lines out. We are at just under 370 lines of code to build an interface that basically MGM is using. I thought that was a lot of fun. I don't know how useful this code is going to be, but I'm going to throw it up on my GitHub so you guys can take a look. But this was a really good exercise, and I think if you're ever learning, say, web development or app development, anything where you need to do a UI, this is a great exercise. Just figure out what the margins are, what the layout is for somebody who's building an app that you think looks nice. And in this case, I thought some of the margins, it's just really pleasing to the eye, and I still can't nail that down here, and it'll take me hours to try and tweak it little bit by little bit. But you see how they've done it? They have this good amount of white space. I feel now that I'm looking at it, my icons are a bit large. Of course, since my screen size doesn't match perfectly, it's a bit off. Now we're getting a bit closer in value. We're close, but we're not quite there yet. And of course, they've considered their icons. They've built these icons specifically. I feel like this one's a bit chunky. I like their narrower icons as well. These are all square icons, so that does make a slight difference. I'm just rambling here. Didn't have a period here. All these little things are really important to UI designers. They look at it and I'm like, why is June dotted on one, not the other? So let's put that in. And what you want to do is create something that is pleasing to the eye, that's really nice, that you can build. And this is a really nice interface. I really like the MGM one, and who knows, I might build another app and use some of these same layouts. Obviously, we shouldn't be copying it, pixel by pixel, but having that general look is really nice. If you guys were paying really close attention, you'll note that I cheated a little bit as well. This view directions button is just a giant margin on the left rather than anchored on the right. So I did a bit of that throughout, just little bits of cheating here and there. But nevertheless, I'm just going to throw this up on GitHub. It's a really good exercise. I don't think taking what I've done today is really going to help you. But if you want to play around with Flutter, I feel much, much, much more confident in trying to build a nice looking app. As I said from the start, I like Flutter a lot. I played around with it a little bit and fell in love with it immediately because it is just really easy to use, really easy to pick up and learn. And so I built apps that use APIs, that do other things to pull information in, but really the user interface, and it's odd that I do this with Flutter, it's hideous. And so you need to go through these exercises. You need to go through trying to build these things out to try and get it working. Anyways, if you like this video, please subscribe, please thumbs up the video. If you didn't, leave me a comment. I'm still making these videos. I want to make them entertaining. So any constructive feedback is very much welcome. Okay, and if you enjoyed this, I think I might do another video. I broke this out, but I wanted to actually build another one of these interfaces, like this one in particular. Looks pretty nice. So I might do another follow-up video where we get more images rather than just using these icons. All right, so see you next time. Thanks.